Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian.
I'm really
We,
excited. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I forget that I guess I kind of do this now. We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Yeah.
I am really excited for today's episode. I want to thank everyone for joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
That's right. Your wars are like Star Wars, but without the Force. You kind of need that.
Yeah, though I would say that the Rogue One did a pretty good. Actually, no, the Rogue One did have the Force. They had the blind dude, didn't they? Okay.
More
I
like a
mean-
Force adept and not necessarily a Force user, I would say.
Okay.
Doesn't
So-
Rogue One have Darth Vader at the end, and he totally used the Force to throw a guy into the ceiling just to kill him?
So I guess we're still on point then.
Yeah.
Without the Force, nothing.
Even in The Mandalorian, there's still a few Jedis that run around, so...
Yeah.
Although it's
Can't
supposed to
run
be
from
fantasy
it. It's
RPG
everywhere.
if the books don't focus on the Force at all, so there's that.
Okay. That's really
we do
cool.
that, yeah.
So I'm really excited for today's episode. We are obviously talking Star Wars. You can look at the title, follow along in the Star Wars handbook over here. This is to be right up front. This is a fan made product. So it's not. Everyone can pick it up for free. So we'll get more into that. We like to just take a moment that every episode we like to start off by giving our listeners fat loots. Oh, dude. So the gentleman that joined us on YouTube, and I apologize if I slaughter this, is Galiphile, which is the creator of this magnificent piece. So thank you for joining us today.
Okay, hey.
Hopefully we do it some justice.
Hopefully, yeah.
So we like to start every episode off by giving away fat loots to our wonderful followers.
Yeah, so our actually Fat Loot giveaway today is actually the Empyrean Investigations. This product is a book dedicated to bringing mystery to life in your home D&D 5e game. Included are ideas, mechanics, guides, and 3 investigative adventures to bring mystery to your stories and campaigns. So really this is more of a supplement that is about, it's not necessarily giving you adventures, it's more of just allowing you to kind of learn and kind of improve as a DM for giving your players some puzzles that maybe instead of looking up a Google search that is, puzzles for 5-year-olds, now you have this.
It does actually come with 3 adventures in addition to all
Well, I
the
guess it
guides
does,
and
yeah.
stuff. So
It does still come with
it's some pretty good stuff. Who's our winner today?
Our winner today is Champ Duncan 1419. Congratulations!
Congratulations!
You did
Woo!
You
Woo,
got
woo,
the
woo.
win.
I think I.
And if you didn't win, don't worry about it. You can still head over to critacademy.com and subscribe on our newsletter for your chance to win.
Yep, we give
It's
away
really easy
fat
and
loots
super free.
every week. Every week we give away 2 free products, compliments of our awesome sponsors and it's been changing up. I don't know if you've noticed, so
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Been doing this for almost a year now, and we finally get different products.
And the last thing I'd like to say before we move into Star Wars 5e, if you're into superheroes and you want to experience superheroes in your 5th edition campaigns, we are currently playtesting Capes and Crooks, which is a 5th edition superhero RPG that will be launching in Kickstarter soon. So you can follow us at critacademy.com/Capes and Crooks. Now, on to the main topic. Star Wars 5e. I am super excited for this. Let's be honest, who hasn't heard of Star Wars? Like, it's been around for a long time. I don't know when the first one came out, but... do you
40 years-ish?
Do you remember that really old movie with the giant walking armor tank? Anyways, whether you're an old fan of the originals or a new fan brought in by some of the newest movies and games, either way, the world and setting are pretty well known, and man, are they detailed and fleshed out. The story in this setting takes place in a galaxy far, far away. Now, the one thing that is wonderful about D&D 5th edition is that it's so versatile. Hands down, it can be shaped in a myriad of different ways. Well, superfan Galiphile decided to use this fantastic rule set to bring Star Wars to his role-playing table. And after 2,000 hours of work, I'd say he has succeeded pretty damn well. And I do know that he's got a lot of has had a lot of support over the years, and it is continually evolving. You can if you'd like to visit and check out kind of the stuff that we're talking about, you can head on over to sw5e.com. Or if you're checking out our show notes at critacademy.com/post/episode 212, you can find the link there as well. So right off the bat, the one thing that really sets the setting of 5th edition apart is what, you guys? Or not 5th edition, Star Wars.
I mean, basically it's space fantasy, so.
Yeah.
For sure.
One of the things that I'll never forget is the first time I saw Luke walk into a cantina and saw the massive variety of species.
Sure.
Different species in this world is just astounding. From it really overwhelms the senses, from the voices and chatter of the countless different languages to the smells of cooking in dozens of different cuisines, mingle with the odors of the crowd from the streets and poor sanitation, which is disgusting. As well as the myriad of architectural styles that, display the diverse origins of the inhabitants, because, interplanetary travel is super common in Star Wars and in this setting. So it would make sense that there would be a myriad of races, they don't call them races, species in this RPG. Well, this team has brought us 26 different species to choose from that all fit within the Star Wars setting. But not only that, one of which, the droid, has 5 different variants, and we're going to look at some of that stuff today. But before as I'm scrolling through this and we're talking about some of the stuff, what did you guys think about some of the player options as far as the species? Did anything jump out at you particularly that seemed really nice?
So I think the first thing that stood out to me is just the raw variety. They really tried to capture how much Star Wars just species, the entire table set list of how many different types there are, and you can just go through them and you can kind of for instance the Twi'lek, the people with the tendrils on top of their head, pretty much they're in there too, and I was just like, man, it'd be kind of fun.
So did they have any unique features? The cool thing about this is that they give the team gives good biology and appearance, social society, and culture kind of descriptions, as well as the types of names you would expect. So if you aren't super familiar with the Star Wars universe, you can just pick some of these names or read up on this little bit of
there's a little bit of lore to get into it,
and know what to go from.
I'm sure most people probably wouldn't know any Twi'lek's names very immediately.
Jim,
I didn't know any male ones because I don't really recall many male Twi'leks. So
there's not many now.
Yeah, at least not portrayed in the Star Wars universe. So
right.
They can even see their size. They're 5 to 7 feet tall and they weigh up to 200 pounds. Almost an average size human, but maybe a little bit taller, a little heavier set. They're really good with unarmed combat, which I thought was a nice little touch. And they can punch twice. So they can use the same modifier for both roles.
According to the creator, there's way more than this beyond what's in these books. So that's awesome. He says 85 more. So that's fantastic.
There's just it's crazy to think about that, honestly. Just how much there is.
So the thing about go ahead.
I was saying there are options.
The thing about the Twi'lek that I think is really cool, I think they did a really good job of capturing what they represent in the world. Now, once again, my Star Wars knowledge is very limited, but for the Twi'lek, I'm playing in the Old Republic, and I always just see them dancing on, in the cantinas as strippers or whatever. So, of course, they would have elegant dancers as one of their trait, which means they're proficient in the performance trait, performance skill, which I think is really cool. The other thing that really jumped out at me, it's not called common, it's called Galactic Basic is your common language, which I thought was a really nice touch. And then, of course, they have Unarmed Combatant, which has 1d4 kinetic damage when they deal unarmed strikes. Is it just me, or does anybody else want to whiplash people with their little tentacle things hanging from their ear or their heads?
It's just you. They're
Oh.
not prehensile.
Well, I would be like,
I don't know how much damage that would realistically do.
it would do 1d4 kinetic damage, it looks like. That's what I would go with.
I just think it's a nice touch that with the Wookiees, they actually accounted for their climbing claws.
Oh,
Which doesn't really
that's
get
dope.
mentioned that much, aside from a couple books.
I didn't know they had
Or no,
climbing
legends.
claws. Huh.
I mean,
Exactly.
you could kind of tell
Mhm.
when you kind of see them up close. They're so like furry that you never really see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And usually he's just got his or whatever he does. So that, like I said,
can't do that.
I couldn't obviously do it either. There's a lot of interesting different species to pick from. They all have their own little features. The art is really cool. The layout is really nice. I love this that they included the Sith pureblood, which is fantastic. Actually, I think it was, I don't know who it was we were talking to before the show, but didn't actually know that the Sith was an actual race, not just the dark side of the Force. So that was pretty cool. Okay, that's disgusting. Randy Simmons says the Leku are actually brain tails. That's very disturbing.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yes,
there's.
I don't think you would ever actually use it that way, then, right?
I don't know.
The brain tail. That's crazy.
So there's lots of different traits. Obviously, our show is about an hour and a half. We're not going to cover all these, but like I said, you can pick up these products, this and more. There's a lot of other stuff out there that they've written across multiple books. You got the Player's Handbooks, the Scum and Villainy, I think, which is all like the monsters and stuff and factions.
Yep, and then,
The
Starships of the Galaxy, which is all about the ship combat.
Starships?
I'm pretty sure. And then Wretched Hives, which I haven't been able to check out quite yet.
That one's really cool. Even if you aren't going to play in a Star Wars universe, that's worth picking up just because it includes details on complex factions, which I think makes it a very powerful resource regardless of your setting. So that was really nice work. All right, so let's talk about some of the classes.
So
There's, do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Austin?
Yeah, so adventurers are extraordinary people driven by a thirst for excitement into the life that others would never dare lead. They are heroes compelled to explore the dark places of the world and take on the challenges that lesser men and women can't stand against. Now, classes is the primary definition of what your character can do. It's more the profession, it's more of your character's calling. Class shape the way you think about the world and interact it with your relationship with other people and powers in the galaxy.
Right.
A fighter, for example, might view the world in pragmatic terms of strategy and maneuvering, and see herself as just a pawn in a much larger game. A consular, by contrast, might see himself as a willing servant of the Force. While the fighter has contacts in a mercenary company or army, the consular might know a member of Jedi or Sith who share his faith. Additionally, including 20 backgrounds to kind of enhance these classes and role-playing mechanics.
Right.
And some of these backgrounds actually include feats, too, as part of the background, which I thought was a nice touch.
That is very
I do
cool.
like that.
That was very cool.
I do like that a lot. But so one of the classes I actually took a look at here, because I'm always trying to like kind of bridge it to like what this reminds me of, or at least like take a guess at what I would see this class as.
Before you get into that, let's. I would like to make sure everyone knows that what they actually got done away with the Venusian magic system, and they took the spellcasting, and they took the DMG alternative, and which is like spell points and stuff, and kind of worked it a little bit and added to it, and included that in this, which I think was a nice touch because it gave it a nice new feel as well, even though the DMG's rules have been there already. So.
Why don't you explain that?
And
actually, because I imagine not many people know or use that.
It's basically spell points instead of like spell slots. I mean, I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, you still are limited, but instead of you've got 5 spell slots, you might have like 5 spell points, and you can use up those points however you want. And it's different number of points based on the spell or the level or how strong you want to make it. That's my understanding, and it's very limited. But
okay.
And I'll admit, I always would have preferred that would have been like a default setting in D&D in general, because I always prefer like using mana points or spell points, what have you.
I would agree.
And I was never really a fan of Vancian, and especially when you know it came from Jack Vance's books,
Okay.
and it made sense in the context of those books, but I thought it made no sense when you took it out of that context. But that's another rant
Right.
unto itself.
For
So
sure, for sure. Now, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Austin, but I thought that that was important to note before we got too much into the classes.
No, I agree. That's definitely a good thing to point out because you do kind of see that when, for instance, the first one that I kind of really latched onto was the Guardian because it reminded me the most of a paladin, and I kind of like the whole aura abilities and stuff. That's always been kind of a favorite of mine in any
Mm-hmm.
RPG setting. You can kind of see here, force powers known right here. You can kind of see how many you get at, every level. There's the force points that we were just talking about, and then the max power level, and then they get a unique thing called focus strikes. But
bef-
um,
and before we get too involved too, I think it's worth
sure,
mentioning that they have like a two different types of magic, if you will. There's like the
Yep.
force, and there's tech abilities too, which
Yep.
also get
yes,
treated with us like spell abilities. So
That's very
mhm,
similar to how I'm doing capes and crooks because for me, there's a difference between the tech gadgets and the actual superpowers, right? So
right,
yep.
as far as the rule set goes, they keep those two distinguished for that reason. So that way, when one guy's throwing a grenade that shoots out lightning, it's not being confused with the guy shooting lightning from his fingertips, even though they
right,
have similar effects, right?
right.
According to the creator, he says that all the backgrounds do their choice of 2 or 4 skills or a choice of feats, which is pretty cool.
Two
So,
of four skills and choice of 8 feats. That is quite a bit.
yep, I think that's
Cantrip
really
skill
cool.
3. Okay.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the Guardian?
Sure,
I
we can
can.
kind of get into it a little bit
Yeah, we
here.
don't got to get into super detail. Maybe one or
No,
two of
for
the
sure.
features that
Yeah.
you like.
No.
So obviously, I was talking about the auras. So they actually have a small list, and because you can kind of choose
Mm-hmm.
which one you want, and they also, upon later levels, they actually can stack certain auras.
Right.
So the first one that kind of immediately caught my eyes, because obviously, if you want to play more damage oriented, you can see the aura of hatred, and it's really simple. You and friendly creatures within 5 feet of you gain a bonus to the first melee weapon damage rolls you make each round equal to your charisma mod. So
That's
you kind
cool.
of just take this and you just instantly do more damage. Now, granted, it doesn't stack, with like multi attack or anything, but it's the fact that it's just free damage that you're already getting.
It does. It
Um,
doesn't stack. Does it say that?
it does not stack because it's only the first melee weapon attack.
Oh, I gotcha.
It's
I
it's
gotcha.
it's it's pretty much just told no, you cannot do more than after the first. Another one, which I actually, because I like the Conquest Paladin, the Aura of Conquest is very similar to that. So whenever a
Mm-hmm.
creature is frightened of you, or whenever a creature who is frightened of you starts its turn within, your aura, their speed is reduced to 0 and takes psychic damage equal to half of your Guardian level. So I think it's almost the exact same. I don't know if I see any differences there, but it's stuff like that. I think that's really cool. Again, and then they kind of have some more basic stuff like force purity. You're immune to poison and disease. It's very similar to divine health.
Right.
And then they do have different forms. So like not. I don't think this is quite a fighting style, is it? This is something else entirely. I think this is more
Stances.
like
They've got fighting styles and they've got forms. I
I
think they're
think a
different.
form is
At the
more of a sub. No, the form is like the subclass. That's what it is.
okay for
The
this
the for this
class.
specific
Right.
class, yes. So, um, for instance, you can see in the Makashi form, you can see Dooku at the bottom there, and so this one's more about dueling. So you can
Well,
see we'll just go straight to the level 21 because
yeah.
it's right there, and you can see Dooku, and I love Dooku. It says at level 20, you are a duelist of the highest caliber. Your dexterity and wisdom or charisma scores, your choice, increase by 2. Your maximum for those scores increased by 2. Additionally, you can use your action to gain the following benefits for 1 minute. You have resistance to kinetic and energy damage, and you ignore resistance to kinetic and energy damage.
That's awesome.
Uh, all melee attacks have disadvantage against you. Very cool. And your melee weapon inflicts an additional damage die. So you really are just kind of this stalwart
Tank.
master swordsman who's kind of in the front of everything and able to kind of just knock away everything and can keep composed, much like Count Dooku.
You
which
can
I thought was very
you can
cool.
tell that some of the content was inspired by or taken right from the Star Wars: The Old Republic, because I played the Sentinel and some of this stuff is kind of familiar to me, because it is a tank
Mm-hmm.
class. It's meant to be up front, and I think that was captured very, very well. The one thing I want to draw attention to, since you picked the Guardian, was fighting styles. The fighting style system has been completely redone, and they actually reference going to the Chapter 6 where there is at least a couple dozen different styles here at the very least, which I thought was really cool. And that doesn't even get into masteries, which is another thing that you can specialize in. But I thought it was done really well, and it gives that much more versatility to your character. So kudos to the team for that.
Which I know that as we've been playing Capes and Crooks, we really do value that kind of versatility in
Yeah.
all of your classes. So
Yep.
I'm very excited and about that just concept being used elsewhere.
Right.
Because you can see like there's all sorts of different fighting styles here, like great weapon, form fighting, gunning, mounted, explosives. There's all
There's a lot.
sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ian, did you have anything to say on this before we move on?
Overall though found like there was each class. I feel like they took something from 5e, added more stuff to them, and gave you quite a bit of more options. Like
Yep.
my impression, at least, was that like use obviously 5th edition as a basis, but then build off it.
Yep.
They added some stuff from like 3.5 and or Starfinder, which all are kind of cousins anyway, so it's kind of
Right.
weird. But like even just like the sheer amount of options you have, like the engineer, I kind of liked. Well, part of it was because I played an android engineer in Starfinder, but
Mm-hmm.
like they kind of in a way act as oh, I'm drawing a blank here because my brain's going 50 miles per hour. Like as artificers, but more technologically based in magic for obvious reasons.
Right.
And even like the archetypes you can dive into, like the armor tech, the arms tech, which is more weapon based,
Mm-hmm.
the gadgeteer, and you even have the the unstable engineer, which acts as a wild magic sorcerer, kind of.
That's cool. Hey, I made this device. How confident are you to work? It'll do.
Find out.
We'll find out together. Oh man, there's a lot of good stuff. Like I said, we don't have time to cover everything, but
Sure.
anybody that's watching the screen can see as I'm scrolling through and showing all the stuff that they got here. Once again, there are some stuff that's very reminiscent to me as a person who's played the Old Republic. I'm looking at the operative right now, and it gives the very much stealthy side, outside the law kind of character, and a lot of the abilities fit that theme. Some you'll recognize: uncanny dodge, cunning action. But what they
Is it like would you say a very Han Solo styled
it
character?
very much,
Okay.
as far as I can tell. The one thing that I think is really cool is they have what are called exploits, or operative exploits, I guess, which is a nice little. I don't know how to better explain it. They're kind of like mini feats. Like similar to like fighting styles, I guess, which I thought was really cool, and it's all done really, really well. So I really think
Yeah,
that
they really kind of just are mini feats, or I guess if you could make it more like a Eldritch Invocations, maybe.
maybe, yeah, okay, I could see that.
That's kind of
the
what I'm thinking, but
the creator does
there's
say
quite a bit going on
Star
here.
Wars: The Old Republic was my main inspiration, and it comes across good,
Yeah.
good, which is fantastic because that has a good structure for it. You definitely did some good work, and there's obviously. As Ian and Austin both said already, the expanded on options that make it far more customizable than 5th edition already makes it even better. Which is something we're learning from Capes and Crooks, because we're learning that customization options is something that is severely lacking in 5e. So to see
Which
another
is
group do that is pretty cool.
which is also really crazy to think about because 5e already is fairly expansive if you
Yeah.
consider multiclassing. Like you
Yes.
can kind of run with most ideas in fiction with
I'm gonna
multiclassing.
say no, because I actually just because I play plenty of RPGs where you have way more customization options.
But
Even
that's not the
previous
argument.
That's
The
not what
argument
he's
is
trying to
that
say, though.
you can at least do it. The
Right,
yeah.
possibility is there. I'm not saying it's as expansive. I'm just saying you are allowed to.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it might not be to the exact power level you might want it to be or anything like that.
Right.
Yep.
So, which reminds me, why don't we go ahead and move on to feats? Because that's gonna be something I think everyone's gonna love. Because let's be honest, Fifth Edition's regular handbook doesn't have a whole lot, but the ones they do have are pretty potent. So let's take a look at some of what they've done here in Star Wars Fifth Edition here, right? See if I can scroll. I don't know what page it's on. Ian, do you want to take that?
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm trying to find which page it's on too.
193.
That's what I
All
thought,
right.
but I thought it was more of a. What it is? Basically, like a feat, as we kind of like in we've seen before in other RPGs, represents a talent or an area of expertise that gives characters special capabilities,
Right.
and you can get these, as we mentioned before, from your backgrounds, which you have multiple choices to choose from. You can also use the traditional 5e method of you can forgo a stat increase to choose a new one.
Right.
And obviously, these embody training, experience, and abilities what beyond what a class provides. And you have over 50 feats available in just this document alone. Some of them are familiar, some of them are more in line with what you expect from Star Wars in general, too, or a sci-fi setting. So
Yeah. And I think that that's really important because
yeah,
you want, when you're looking for more customization, it always pained me that feats were optional in 5e because that's a layer
Yeah.
of customization that is stripped away from the
Yeah, you're
players.
almost forced to kind of make a choice every single time you get an ability score improvement, which is a shame. But
Yeah.
I could also see the balance
because
for it
that
because
wasn't a
as we've
thing in the
kind
past.
of the thing that we did kind of agree on was that feats are relatively potent in 5e. So there is a little bit of a balance to
Yeah.
it.
And the other thing that I want to touch on is certain class features or the Fighting Master feat offer a choice of fighting mastery, which I think is really cool because that just expands upon it even more. A good example be here would be the Akimbo mastery. You've mastered fighting with two blasters. Unleash a volley of shots. While you are wielding separate weapons in each hand, you gain which you are proficient. You gain the following benefits. So now it says, okay, other people can already shoot with two hands, but you can become a master, which increases when you roll maximum on a weapon damage die against a creature. That creature suffers a -1 penalty to the first attack roll they make on their next turn. So it basically allows you to apply a debuff when you're unloading. And of course, since you're doing two weapons in this case, you're more likely to do that more often. It does come in with the two weapon fighting, even when the weapons you're wielding lack the light property. So it very much is similar to the dual wield feat in that case, but applying to range weapons. And then it says when you take the attack action, you can use choose to attack swiftly at the expense of accuracy. So your weapon attack is made without the aid of your proficiency bonus, but you can use your reaction to attack with a different weapon that you are holding in the other hand, without the proficiency bonus. I think that is really, really, really cool. If you would make more than one attack with the attack action, this only make that attack is made without proficiency bonus as well. So this is really cool because you're basically giving yourself extra blasts at the cost of accuracy. I'm very much imagining somebody just holding out their hand and open on, and just spraying everywhere and open to hit something, which I think is just fantastic.
And that, as you said, that's a fighting style, though not a feat, but some feats grant fighting styles. So.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Because some of the feats grant the fighting styles or specifically the masters. But man, there's just so much content here.
Yeah, even just some of like the first few ones are pretty interesting.
Anything?
But
And I want to stress that this is a fan-made document that was had a lot of sweat poured into this, and it is 312 pages long,
Yeah.
and that's just the player's handbook.
Yeah. Moreover, on like the feats, like for instance, the one that kind of, because I like to play more frontline oriented builds, and sometimes I go down. That's not so good.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But there is one that is called Battle Scarred, and I like the little flavor it adds to it. You spent a lifetime fighting with scars to prove it. You gain the following benefits. You know, you get a small score to your constitution, and you gain these two little effects. When you roll a 19 or 20 on a d20 for a death saving throw, you regain 1 hit point. That means you stand right back up. And when you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. Once you use the ability, you must complete a long rest before you can use it again. So very similar to like the half orc feat or racial feat.
Very
So-
similar. Before we move on on from our main topic, the one thing I thought was really cool in the force power section, it's color coded from light side, dark side, and universal, which I think is really cool if you are building a character to stick to a theme. It makes it really easy. You can just spot which ones would fit your theme, which is a really nice little take in my opinion.
Which also means that even in a combat setting, say you have an NPC who or like a mainstay NPC, and they use, they seem to be on the side of good this entire time, and they start using a random dark force or a dark side ability. You kind of look at them like, hold on,
Yeah, it's kind of
that's
sketchy.
incorrect.
All right, Anakin, why are you
Although it
force
depends on
choking
which lore you
people?
go off of to at what point in the franchise. So
I want to do a throwback really quick. I just want to show that I appreciate that I can play as a droid, and I'm like talking like an R2D2 droid is one of the options. So I just want to go around shocking people with my stick, man, because that just sounds awesome. One thing I noticed is in the conditions, the conditions have been expanded as well. There's a few conditions I think that weren't part of the normal 5e set. For instance, slowed is a condition now. Shocked. Shock says a shocked creature can't take reactions. Now, that's awesome because that's a play on the shocking grasp, which that's one of the core features, which I thought was really cool. When you hit somebody with shocking grasp, they can't take reactions. Well, that's just a condition now. So if you shoot somebody with a lightning, they might be able to get shocked, which I think is awesome. I'm trying to think of what else. There is a list of variant rules in here, which is pretty nice to expand upon. I ain't got much time left to go into that, but all I can say is that this really was a fantastic read through. A lot of great work was done, and shit, where's the credits? Make sure I try to pronounce his name right. Thank his buddy Ross. Galiphile. Kudos to you, man. You should be very proud of this. It clearly is a lot of work. While we did find a few errors, glaring errors here and there, I've seen professionally published content, quote unquote, professionally that is not as well put together as this. So kudos.
Bless you.
That sounded familiar. I wasn't talking about Shadowrun at all, but that's a great example. So kudos to you. So
and even then, like the raw volume that they put out is just impressive. So even like going past those issues aside, like there's so much to love here anyway that like it's free. Come on, like just go and support this person.
Yeah, go head over to his Discord and stuff. You can report typos there. I'm trying to find the one that I saw earlier, but anyways, I just think this project is awesome. If you're looking for a Star Wars game, or if you're just looking for sci-fi adventure, this gives you everything you need. And once again, this isn't the only book they got, so make sure to head on over and check it out at
SW5E.
That's the one. Thanks. I think. Do you guys got anything else? If not, we'll move on. Nope.
We would be here all day
Yes,
if we had more to go for.
That'll do it for our
problem with this supplement.
What's that?
I'm gonna call it that.
Yeah, right. Oh, did you include the Leonin one? Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for our main topic, Star Wars 5e. Please head on over and support them. This, whether you're a Star Wars fan, sci-fi, or you're just looking for something a little bit out of this world, like in a galaxy far, far away, you owe it yourself to check out Star Wars 5e. And that'll do it for our main topic. I would like to take a minute if you are interested, once again, in superheroes and all that jazz. Please consider checking out Capes and Crooks. We run our playtest streams bi-weekly on Fridays. This is our upcoming Kickstarter project, and you can sign up for notifications on this project at criticacademy.com/Capes and Crooks. Now, on to our Unearthed tips and tricks.
And now, what you've all been waiting for. Our Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
All right, we got some good stuff here today. Who would like to take the character concept? Is that highlighted?
Well,
Oh, you.
me, because it's in blue.
Okay.
A path to darkness. You're a character that stems from a long line of strong and honorable magic users, or Force in this case if you're going by Star Wars.
Nice.
From an early age, you have aspired to study magic and become the best spellcaster your lineage has to offer. You left your home to train under mages of astounding renown and power, believing that first-hand experience would allow you to exceed your family line. After much diplomacy and maybe a little bit of bribery, you were brought before a master. The master warned you of your shortcomings and how it could lead to a darker path, one that you could not turn away from. Those who dabble in magic for sheer power are liable to fall to the darker arts. Of course, you believe that they feared your strength. That's why they insisted you weren't ready and refused to teach you all that they knew. You left your master, believing that they were holding you back from your true potential. You set out to learn and discover spells that will allow you to reach your true potential.
Huh.
Very
This sounds familiar.
Anakin Skywalker.
It sounds very much like, it's almost like it was inspired exactly by that. I was like, I'm going to try to tie everything into Star Wars if I can. Can't always do that, but
I love Anakin Skywalker as a character, so
Yeah.
I'm totally for it.
and I think that this path can be a really great way to start joining a group as a good guy. Uh-oh, we lost one of our bros.
We lost Ian. Nope, he's back.
Yeah.
It happens.
Welcome back,
Yeah.
Ian.
This is good if you want to start off as kind of like a neutral character and slowly work your way to the darker sides, and maybe even potentially become evil, or even know you're going to end up in evil, working with the DM, maybe become a big bad villain or something. It's a very
That
fun way
would
to
be
do.
So cool to become the big bad evil guy. Oh god, I hope Zorax does that one day. Just becomes the big bad evil guy.
We'll see. I think this works both for NPCs and PCs, of course. So, do you guys have anything
For
you'd like
sure.
to elaborate on this?
Or shoot,
Uh,
plot twist. You were right.
You let the evil
I
guy be
am
right?
the
And,
big bad evil
your
guy.
methods were being too cautious.
Ooh. You know, in spoiler alerts for a really old book called Aragon, that's kind of what happens with one of the main villains there. He starts to go crazy and thinks he's being held back, and they fear his power, and were right to. So, yeah.
Class would you play this as if you had to choose one?
If I had to choose one class, I would pick Bard.
Interesting.
Do you know why?
Which bard?
Because I instantly think Emperor Palpatine, and I think the idea of whispering into people's ears and telling them and manipulating them without taking vicious actions is far, far more interesting than just being a brute with a sword that can slay every bit of his competition. What's the Xanathar guide one that's all about manipulating people? Whispers, I think. College of Whispers.
College of
Yeah.
Whispers?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, yeah, Palpatine was a powerful Force user, but think about how much damage he caused when he said, "Execute Order 66."
that's
Yeah.
true, and that's far
Way
more
more
effective.
than he could do. Yeah, with the Force alone. Yeah.
Right.
Like that
So-
just goes to show.
So that's why I think a bard would be a really, really great Path to Darkness character, personally. What about you?
Okay. I really think this could be an interesting like oathbreaker paladin. Like you start
Yep.
off with like an oath, and then you like you just eventually like it's time to change. Now I'm an oathbreaker.
Yeah.
All right, I think that'll do it. I think I agree. By the way, sorry, I was trying to type something.
That's okay.
I think that I agree with you there. It would be a good way to lead into that oath breaking character concept. So that'll do it for our character concept, A Path to Darkness. Our monster variant of the podcast is 4K4D7. 4D is in the letter 7, not 47, which is the actual killer droid, right? The HK series Battle Forged is a combination of assassin and infiltration construct. A series designation stands for Hero Killer, befitting their primary functions as assassins.
Got that right, meatbag.
So what are we gonna do? You're gonna start with the origin stat block, the assassin. Duh. Why not? Why rebuild it, right? You're gonna change.
sure.
You're gonna get rid of its short sword, its light crossbow, and its multi attack now applies to both ranged and melee. And we're gonna give it a little more spice. We're gonna give it a laser blade. Huh? That's something. Why would he give him a laser? Oh, Star Wars lightsaber. I see what Justin did there. So for this one, you're gonna do 1d6 plus 3 piercing damage with a plus 6 to hit. On a when the target's hit, they must make a DC 15 con save or take 76 radiant damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Basically, just radiant laser damage, like the solar. What is it? The sun sword or sun blade or whatever it is. And of course, you also got to give him a blaster. So we're going to give him a blaster rifle that also has a plus 6 to hit with a range of 80 to 320. You're 1d4 or 1d8 plus 3 piercing and damage, and they must make a DC 15 con saving throw or take 7d6 radiant damage or half as much on a successful one. Now, this doesn't include the sneak attack damage that comes with the assassin, so the damage is actually higher than that for one of the attacks, which is dangerous. Don't forget this bad boy can do cunning action, but what good would I be if I didn't take some inspiration from our Star Wars buddy here and include one of his droid features for our HK-47 Assassin Battle Forged? They get a reaction. Reactive shield once a day when the Battle Forged is hit by an attack or targeted by homing missiles or magic missile if you want to go that route. It can use its reaction to create a kinetic barrier, and until the end of its next turn, the Battle Forged has a plus 5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack, and takes no damage from homing missiles or magic missile. So, for one round, this thing is damn near impenetrable.
Pretty much, honestly.
What do you guys think about my killer droid?
It's killer.
Hell, put those bullets into the ground, meatbag.
I like the
think
silence afterwards, so you guys let it settle for a bit.
right. I think this is really cool in the fact that it would be interesting as a main villain, because I get very much Terminator vibes from it. Hunting and chasing down the characters for something they did. Either they owe somebody money or they did some very bad stuff, and now a bunch of villagers hired a group to send a killer construct after them. So I like the idea of it being like a sniper and laser blasting you when you're in the middle of sitting on the shitter. You guys are gonna fight one. It's great.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I gotcha. All right. If you guys don't got anything else,
No.
All right.
It's just a really solid assassin droid.
that'll do it for our monster variant, the HK4D7 Assassin Battle Forged. If you like this and it sounds really cool, every week I put these together in beautiful professional format for our patrons. They get it every week, delivered right to their inbox, and it's also part of our monthly zine that you can pick up as well. So head on over to critacademy.com and check that stuff out. Austin, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the podcast?
Absolutely. Our encounter of the podcast is a hero's ballad.
Uh-oh.
An ally and friend of the hero approaches them during their downtime. They have someone they would like to introduce the heroes to. A wandering minstrel named Enelin Sparrow Quick, a male minstrel, has been wandering the local area in search of inspiration. namely tales of heroic feats and daring adventures. The party's ally can think of no one better qualified to quench the minstrel's thirst for tales and urges the characters to regale Enelin with their greatest exploits. Upon meeting Enelin, he asks that they part the party, sorry, share their experience in the town square at dusk for the entire town to see. Here, the characters are given the opportunity to put on a fantastic show. This can be done through poems, dance, magical effects, singing, or perhaps all the above. The characters must succeed 4 skill checks before gaining 3 failures. On a success, Enelin and the crowd finds their story riveting and wooing and cheering. Enelin will go on to perform the story during his travels and add it to his book to the available libraries. On a failure, the Enelin and the crowd find the story lackluster and, well, hardly exciting. Fruit and vegetables are tossed at them, and they are booed out of the town square.
You guys only said a dragon. I've heard better.
What do you guys think about this?
I think there's interesting roleplay consequences or rewards after this very easily. Oh, hey, guys, look, it's that book that Enelin wrote, and we're in it. See this? Why do I look fat?
Like, could you imagine? So, the one thing I really liked about this concept is, first, I wanted something that wasn't combat. I wanted something that could let the players kind of goof off a little bit. And I imagine coming up with a retelling of their epic tales would lead to a lot of shenanigans, I guess. Trying to make a big giant play of it. And it just sounded like it would be a lot of fun. Whether they're using prestidigitation and minor illusion and magical, effects in general to enhance the experience. And it allows the players to get into their more creative, non-stabby sides. Ian, what do you think?
Very first thing I thought about when I read this was the Fire Island Players episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's exactly what Alicia said. She's like, you gotta play it out like the Avatar thing. I'm like, I didn't include that, but I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you guys find
About how they're all warped versions of themselves.
Yeah. Except for Toph. Toph is perfect.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Big strong man.
I think that'll do it for our encounter, the hero's ballad. The minstrel stat block I chose is something that's been created on Crit Academy that is available to our on our Patreon. But you can use any stat block you really want. The minstrel just comes with some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Ian, would you like to tell about our semi kind of magic item?
Our magic item for today is a plasma grenade. A wondrous, uncommon item. You can only use once. Grenades can be said to detonate on impact or with a timer that causes them to explode on initiative count of your choice, losing all ties. As an action, you can throw the grenade at a point you see within 60 feet plus your strength score. Each creature within 10 feet must make a DC 15 dex save. A creature takes 3d6 radiant damage on a failed save or half on a successful one. And the item is then destroyed because, no crap, it's a grenade.
Right? This is 100%.
Hand grenade.
100% inspired by one of it might even be the plasma grenade in the Star Wars 5e. I changed it a little bit because there was some stuff that I thought could use a little more oomph. But other than that, I really like this idea. What do you guys think? Simple and to the point.
Yep.
I think so. I mean, 10 feet for a grenade works for me.
10 feet.
That's what it says. Each creature within 10 feet.
Oh, I thought you were saying like throw it 10 feet. I was like, wait,
Oh,
did
no,
I write that wrong?
That would be
Yeah.
like, that better be like a generator-sized bomb.
It's pretty straight and to the point, and don't be surprised if more of these start showing up in our games. Love
For
me
sure.
some disposable items. All right, that'll do it for our magic item, the plasma grenade. Our dungeon master tip is unconscious threat. Now, let's be honest. Being dropped to 0 hit points isn't really that big of a deal in 5th edition. A simple healing potion jammed down your throat, a healing word, and you're right back up at it again. This sort of kind of takes the falling unconscious to not making it not really a big deal for most characters, in all honesty. But because of this, if the barbarian knows that the cleric can pick them right back up, the barbarian is likely to do a bit more reckless, something a bit more reckless when they're at low hit points than they probably would have ahead of time. So we propose a new option that makes this a bit more terrifying and encourages the player to look out for their character's health and well-being a bit more. When a character goes unconscious and is forced to make a saving throw, on a failed death save, the failure stays with them until they finish short, or if you're feeling really dangerous, long rest, depending on how dangerous you want it to be. This simple technique can bring a bit more fear into falling unconscious, knowing that those failures don't just reset immediately after you're up, driving hopefully the players to act with a bit more concern for their characters. Alternatively, you can impose a Constitution saving throw for every failure with a moderate DC, such as 15. On a failure, that character can suffer a level of exhaustion. So now going to 0 imposes levels of exhaustion, or has a chance to. That's not quite as... I thought it might be a bit harsher, but I don't think it actually is, because it doesn't happen every time because you can succeed and it doesn't stay. So either way, what do you guys think about this?
I definitely think there's a lot of ways you can make that being not unconscious a little bit more threatening. Like, and this is not a bad way to do it. Like, one way I've also seen is like people like house ruled, like for every time you're not unconscious, you gain 1 level of exhaustion.
Okay.
Yeah, you just gain it. Yeah,
Just automatically, not even a save. Man, that's even more savage than what I wrote.
Yeah.
Like I know in Pathfinder 2, every time you're knocked unconscious, the DC to save
Goes up.
increases.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm surprised that's not in 5e. Like that simple rule. So
Or every time you like get knocked down,
you get
like,
back up again?
go unconscious, you could make it so the death save DC is like 1 point higher or something like that until they finish a long rest, and then maybe it resets. I don't know.
That's a good way to do it
go
too.
about it.
I like that. I
'Cause,
like
like,
that.
Or maybe even like if you really want to increase the lethality of it, like maybe you're really trying to make your players stop going down and being like, it's no problem. You can make it like go up by 2 or something. Because like
Yeah.
rolling a straight roll, 10 isn't so awful.
50-50.
50-50, whatever.
55% actually in the player's favor.
Right, because they
And
get the
then-
10 and they
Oh,
get
yeah,
the
they
10,
get the
right?
10.
And the 20.
Yeah.
So that leaves 1 through 9.
Yeah. So I mean, odds aren't really all that awful, but if you start making it like 12 or 13, like that's when you're like, I have to roll pretty high to survive.
Succeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I do think that, and I was surprised that the Constitution score, I think that should come into play on death saves, personally.
I kind of agree too, because that seems like a really weird. Like I get it, like death saves, like it has to be a straight roll. Oh no, but like I also find that a little weird. It's your
I would think a
Constitution.
more person that can take more of a beating should be able to recover quicker. Anyways, I think that'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip, Unconscious Threat. I think this little thing can make a significant difference in the player's play style when it comes to Billy will get me back up.
Pretty much.
Our
All right, to the player tip. Our player tip of the podcast is
don't be a dick.
And our player tip today is animated tokens.
Yes.
We've talked in the past about using a screenshot of a Hero Forge character to create a cool character token. Did you know that you can easily bring this image to life in a very simple and easy way? The myheritage.com/deep-nostalgia feature can do just this. Using its complex program, it can take a still image and give it a bit of movement and animation, such as head swaying and blinking. This may not seem like much, but once you toss it into your virtual tabletop of your choice, you'll never go back to a mundane token ever again.
I was blown away by this. Did you guys see the video I shared by chance?
Yeah, it was creepy.
It really is a very cool thing, and it will bring shock and awe to your table if nobody's ever seen it. And it's so easy to drag an image on there, then download the short GIF or video or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, it's. I'm just looking at it. It's like really smooth.
Yeah, it's pretty
Honestly.
interesting. Mine wasn't. Though I did one manually, and my first one wasn't very smooth. I think that's the one I shared with you because I didn't zoom into the face enough. So like the top of his hat doesn't move because he's got a big chef hat. Brick does, but
Yeah.
yeah. So this is pretty cool. It'll throw everyone for a loop, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. And it just brings the table a little more to life. So
For sure. So yeah, there we go.
yep. All right, that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. You can avoid dickitude by animating your tokens. Before we close out, we have another gift to give away. Compliments of our generous sponsors.
Yep. This RPG giveaway for this time around is the Brewski Jubilee. The Brewski Jubilee is a one-shot downtime adventure where the party happens upon a town is about to celebrate the Brewski Jubilee, a harvest festival. Its main event, the Hops Stickle Course,
Ah!
the fun romp for the entire party. And
That's
today's
funny.
winner is N Natal 2.
Cool.
No win? Not a problem. Go to techacademy.com and subscribe for your chance to win.
You should wait till we're done cheering. That's funny. All right, I think that'll do it for our show today. Please join us on our next episode where we'll be discussing strongholds and followers with our friend Alex Baum. She'll be joining us again. So I'm super excited to have her on. If you enjoy the show and you want to support us, please visit critacademy.com. Maybe pick up some of our products, become a patron. Follow us on YouTube. Holy shit, we're less than 100 away from 1,000 followers, so please hit that follow button, subscribe button. Follow us on social media. If you're really feeling frisky, go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes. That really helps all the podcast algorithms. So I want to give a quick an info update. If you haven't checked it out, our YouTube channel now has 1 minute D&D tips, and there's almost 100 of them already. It's quickly our fastest growing videos. Everyone's loving them. I think one of the ones I released a few days ago has got like over 3,000 views or something. So quickly head on over there and check it out. It'll mean a lot to us. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host Austin.
I'm your co-host Ian. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes. We'll see you guys later.
See